Why do I record mandated reporters? Because they don't do their fucking jobs, none of them. See, here's the thing, is that even though it's mandatory, there's all sorts of cheap shit they can do to prevent an at-risk adult from turning in their predators. If they don't want to do their jobs as mandated reporters, they want to be able to get away with it. Sure, there's legal consequences, but then they set it up so that it's, well, against confidentiality. Nobody gave two shits about confidentiality when it came to me. None of them. I tried to turn in my predators. I get told that I made no effort because I didn't have the ability to fucking record it. Then when I got the ability to record it, I tried keeping people's names and shit safe. But, and it's a big but, those people needed to help me to turn it in the right way. With nobody to help me to do it the right way, I have to do it in the only ways that allow me to show evidence. They don't have the right to privacy anymore. Every single mandated reporter that I have recorded has shown why it is that they need to be recorded. Sure, they're mandated reporters, but they get a free pass. Isn't that right? I get treated like I don't try to get help. And then they tell me I'm not allowed to record stuff. Well, I can record all of it. I'm allowed to record all of it. And for my safety, I have to record all of it. Because these agencies aren't doing their jobs. None of these professionals have the right to privacy. None of them. Not a single one. None of these agencies have a right to privacy. Because their victims don't have a right to privacy. When we are forced into public and made a target for the public, and you don't do your job, I don't give a fuck about your goddamn rights because you don't give a fuck about mine. When I was in Rawlins, Wyoming, we got to see a perfect example of why it needs to be recorded live. Since I wasn't recording that live, what ended up happening? Now, once I started having to go public with it, it made it so that I had to try to protect people's names and numbers and still try to get the words out there. Try to get what happened out there for people to know. I tried to put it out there so that these criminals couldn't hide their activities. Without a friend or family member, though, you see how this doesn't work. as far as getting a hold of law enforcement and working together with the victim to end the abuse, what do? They send me around in circles and play this jurisdictional bullshit. Meanwhile, no matter what bullshit fucking jurisdiction I'm in, I get bullied there. I get harassed there. I have my rights violated everywhere that I go because the rights of an at-risk adult are not fucking observed. None of these people have the right to privacy after violating my right to fucking privacy. It doesn't matter if it's APS or CPS. These people felt liberal in their ability to lie to me, to refuse to do their jobs as mandated reporters, and then to pretend things that were completely untrue. Now, when you have the evidence, it's a different story. In Rawlins, Wyoming, they were able to use that evidence by stealing it from me through illegal and immoral means and forcing me to plead guilty to crimes that I didn't commit in order to get that evidence back. But it doesn't matter because I have no friends or family member to help me with this. They've ripped me off over and over again. I started recording live and making sure that it was live because of situations like that and because of the sheer number of hours that I have to find a place to do this and hope that I am not going to be victimized for going there. Forcing me to do it live just means that I have to try to coordinate to get them to meet me in fucking person and look at the evidence. Also, when they want to bug me about did any of these crimes happen in Tillamook? Yes, a lot of these crimes have happened in fucking Tillamook. The services that I'm sent to as mandated reporters won't do their jobs as mandated reporters. It makes me feel quite liberal about walking in and fucking recording it live on YouTube. Because if I get arrested, it's right there on fucking YouTube. Not that anybody's going to give a shit. Mandated reporters from one end of the country to the other have violated their rights by violating mine. See, that's the thing about a mandated reporter. When they don't do their fucking job, it puts us at risk. We are the ones who are victimized when they don't do their jobs. They no longer have the right to privacy. I am an at-risk disabled adult, and them not doing their jobs resulted in people dying. No matter what I do, you tell me it's the wrong way. They need to review why it is that I'm in this fucking situation instead of talking over me. Just because it wasn't in Tillamook doesn't mean they're not mandated to do something. These crimes weren't just committed against me in fucking Tillamook. Mandated reporters didn't just refuse to do their jobs in fucking Tillamook. It is mandated reporters nationwide feeling as if being a mandated reporter is a fucking option. No, it is not. Instead of coordinating together like they should have to begin with, before Natalie was fucking killed. Instead of doing that, mandated reporters want to fleece me for my money and fleece you for fucking your money. And these guys are doing what? No matter what, I'm doing it wrong, so why fucking try? People keep wanting to say, what's the end goal? What's the end goal? To turn in my fucking predators and stop the abuse! You fucking retarded shits! These people put my life at risk and my loved ones' lives at risk by not doing their fucking jobs because there was no fucking oversight. They get to investigate themselves when they don't do their jobs and find themselves, we didn't do anything wrong. We investigated ourselves and we decided. You guys want to whine that I'm breaking the law? No, you're breaking the law, and I'm proving it. How about instead of taking advantage of my disabilities, how about you actually do something to stop the abuse? So we'll call that hotline back, since they didn't call me back.
You have reached Oregon's Abuse Reporting Safeline for children and adults. Para escuchar este mensaje en español, oprima el 8. If this is an emergency requiring immediate attention, hang up and dial 911. If you're for quality assurance, calls may be recorded or monitored. Please choose carefully from the following options.
Oregon Penalty Hotline is Latch. Can I help you?
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you.
My name is Lash Eversole with Child Abuse Reporting Hotline. Can I help you?
Yes, sir. My name is Sean Schwartz, and I am getting bounced around. I don't have the ability to take care of myself, and I'm being taken advantage of because of it.
Have you tried calling Adult Protective Services?
I have. They didn't answer. Sir, I've been going to Adult Protective Services for 6 years. They keep sending me to the places that are supposed to be mandated reporters for those mandated reporters to not do their jobs.
What's going on?
Well, sir, my best friend was shot in the head in 2017 in Colorado. And she got shot in the head because mandated reporters didn't want to do their job for a homeless retard. Meanwhile, I'm not retarded, and I was forced into homelessness because Natalie was killed. I did everything that I could. I went to every service. I went to the therapist that I was told to. I went to the hospitals that I was told to. I expended my time, my money, and my resources on jumping around through a bunch of hoops that don't do any good. I did the self-advocacy thing. I followed the law as far as that goes. But the thing is, I'm having to turn in my predators literally to my predators. My predators are working together and coordinating, and I have no way to defend myself against it. I'm in a constant state of crisis.
Sorry to hear that.
Now, there's a bunch of stuff with child abuse and abuse against at-risk adults across the state of Oregon, including here in Tillamook. But instead of them doing things in these other places I was at, these mandated reporters, they're all friends with each other. They're small towns. And then they want to tell me to go to Portland. I go to Portland and they say, well, we can't investigating anything here and we can't investigate anything there. That's the thing about being bullied into moving by law enforcement and other mandated reporters. I was sent to TFCC for them to do their job as mandated reporters and to coordinate for my safety to turn the evidence in. Instead of them doing that, it's been 6 months of them telling me it's not their job, showing up at random, screwing with situations at the hospital where I needed to speak to a mandated reporter, but instead they just wanted me to say that I was suicidal, and when I wasn't willing to tell them I was suicidal because they wanted to lock me up, well, then I was assaulted at the hospital.
Wow. Any chance are you a military veteran?
No, sir, I'm not. I'm ineligible for military service due to my disabilities.
I was just thinking that might be another avenue.
Well, none of the avenues work because
so what you can do, I'm going to give you a phone number that someone is going to be able to help you. They are basically, like advocates for, I think, what is it called? Hold on, let me think. I gotta Google something real quick.
All right.
Hold on. And so, let's see. There's going to be two. So, two things. One is that, if someone has a disability, they do have special rights, and there are people an organization that investigates when services are not being adequately provided to clients. I think one of them, have you tried calling the Oregon Governor's Advocacy Office?
I have. I got the runaround. I'm a disabled and at-risk adult. None of them care. They want to force me to do things that I'm not capable of because of my disabilities. And instead of working together with me and finding out what my disabilities are, they just exploit them.
Got it.
No matter what, if I try to turn in the people who committed crimes against me, some of them are law enforcement. They call me mentally ill and magically they win. They take me to a hospital and lie to the hospital. The hospital will write it down whether or not it's legal or not.
Have you tried contacting a disability attorney?
Yes, sir. That's what I started off with years ago. They told me to record everything and make sure that I don't talk to the police alone. They told me to go to a friend or family member and explain to them what's going on and have them help me for my safety. None of my friends or family members cared. If they had, sorry, what?
I'm sorry, I just coughed.
That's all right. One of the
I think it's called the
Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yeah, so you contacted them?
Sir, I've contacted everybody there is to contact. The problem is that I have to call them alone. When I call them alone, I get blown off because it's just me. People have a lot of bias against the disabled, a lot of bias against the homeless, a lot of bias against men.
Yeah, that may be true.
The thing is that none of these places are investigating. They're taking advantage of my disabilities. They're taking advantage of the fact that I'm an at-risk adult who is forced into homelessness because of harm. I tried to turn in my predators, and no matter what, nobody would help me with it. Instead, they allowed these predators to harm me until I had no resources, no money, and was having mental breakdowns over it. And police seem to think that their job as mandated reporters is optional. When I come to them and tell them that I'm an at-risk adult and that I'm being abused and I need assistance, that doesn't mean bully me or harass me or lie to me about what the law says or who I'm supposed to go to. 2 days ago, I went to all of the different services here in Tillamook, and I recorded all of them as I went to them. All of these people that I was supposed to go to turn in the abuse. And all of them went out of their way to break the law and to lie to me. Some of these agencies, like such as the Sheriff's Department, told me to get in contact with 4 other places. The Sheriff's Department told me to get a hold of 2 other places. Now, all of these people try to deter me from going to any of these places and even trying.
Who did they tell you to contact? I don't want to recommend anything that you've already tried.
Well, I've called Adult Protective Services, Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Tillamook Community Counseling, or Tillamook Community TCCHC is what it's called. I've called the Governor's Advocacy Agency. I've called the Ombudsman's office. The thing is that I've had to do so from a state of panic and a state of homelessness without the resources to take care of myself. I had the resources. I had myself an apartment. I had disability finally in 2017, and all of my back money and all of that was supposed to be finally coming in, and I'd be able to use it to get myself a safe environment where I'm not having to be subservient to people who are abusive or neglectful.
What happened? 2017.
In 2017, I was being threatened, harassed, intimidated, and stalked by a bunch of druggies from Colorado. They were cutting me off from my friends and family. It's social isolation, sir. I am experiencing long-term social isolation. I have to be afraid to ask for help because I'll just get blown off by the services I'm told to go to and told that it's someone else's job. In reality, it's all of their jobs, and they're supposed to coordinate and work together. It got to the point where, literally, I'd been lied to by so many mandated reporters that I had to start recording it so that I could show that they lied. But then nobody looked at it, nobody would listen to it, nobody would help me to turn it in. They were too busy telling me what to do, what to think, and what to feel. So as a result, I've got literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recordings with mandated reporters that have my personal information in them that I obviously can't post those up in public, because I don't have the editing skills to be able to edit out my phone number or my social security number. Meanwhile, I've had my phone number given out repeatedly by predators, and I get harassed on my phone almost daily. I had one stalker called me almost 100 times 2 days ago. 100 times in one day. I think he called me like 78 times. And I try to go to law enforcement and they blow me off. They don't stop to understand that I can't take care of myself. I have PTSD. I literally cannot function well enough to take care of myself. And instead of trying to understand that and coordinating to get the evidence turned in, instead of that, I'm being taken advantage of because I have communication issues because I am scared. I'm scared to go to law enforcement. I'm scared to go to TFCC. I went to the Office of Aging and Disability. None of these people have actual advocates to help me with it. They just tell me what to do, but they don't help me to do it. They don't take a look at any of the resources that I have or the conditions that I'm living in. Meanwhile, that's supposed to be part of their protocol.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at something here. Have you contacted Classic Behavioral Health?
I don't even know what that is, sir, but I don't have a friend or family member. I need to stop being sent to these places. You're trying to push me to suicide, and you don't get that.
Well, I was just thinking that you actually, may need an advocate. I know for youth, they have what's called wraparound services. Basically, it's one person, right, that works with all the other services and coordinates that for people or for children. We work with children that have disabilities, and that sounds like something that you're saying that you need. One person to take a look at all the services that you have and help you manage that so that you can get to a place where you feel safe. That's what I'm hearing.
I've got a bunch of evidence that needs to be turned in. My life doesn't matter, the evidence does. There's a lot of children that were abused that I have evidence of the abuse against them. Cops won't help me to get that evidence turned in. I can't do that from homelessness, from living in a pile of shit car and a pile of garbage. I'm living illegally in a parking lot because I have nowhere to go, and I have to be afraid that every night could be my last night. I'm trying to find a pen to write this down. Sir, I've been referred from one service to another for 6 years. For God's sake, someone's got to stop sending me to all these numbers and actually coordinate to help me. These services are supposed to work together.
Yeah, I'm just reading this here, see what they offer. Because to me, it sounds like you need an advocate that specializes with services.
Yes, sir. That's one of the they need to specialize in mandated reporting. I need to be protected from law enforcement because they won't do their jobs as mandated reporters. There's a girl that was human trafficked to San Antonio, Texas from Colorado last year, and people get a hold of me and tell me about these things, and I these are people that are involved in my case and the situation with Natalie Bollinger getting her brains blown out in 2017. Well, it wouldn't have happened if mandated reporters had worked together instead of sending me to other services. But that's all they did for a whole year before Natalie was killed, was everybody told me it's not their job, I got to go to somebody else. And the reality is they were supposed to work together. And I'm told to be assertive and that knowing my rights and knowing the law is protection and blah, 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 blah. No, it's not. Not if I have to go in alone and they can do whatever they want. Say whatever they want, make it their word versus mine, because I don't have the means or the ability to actually go through all of this evidence and get it turned in. It's not that I haven't tried, it's that I've been blown off at every corner. And I don't know why I'm having such a problem. Well, because I live in a trash heap, I suppose. I'm trying to find a pen. The problem is that I have to call these places alone. Also, because I may have to post it live or post it online or post it publicly. That's the biggest issue is that if mandated reporters don't do their jobs, I have to post it publicly because nobody's going to investigate it from any of these agencies. Like I was forced to.
Surprised that the governor's advocacy office hasn't followed through. I'm going to try. I have one phone number for you, but I'm also going to try. And you said that you contacted an agency regarding the American Disabilities Act.
Yes, sir. I've made a lot of calls. The problem is that I make the call. I have to make the calls alone because I don't have a friend or family member to help me with it. And since I don't have the resource, do what?
You go to church or anything?
No, sir, not anymore. Most of my predators are Christians. They use the Jesus as the excuse to look the other way. You'd be surprised at how many mandated reporters have told me that I need the Jesus. Oh, Jesus will save everything for you. No, it won't. Churches are supposed to have mandated reporters, and I went to the churches as well. I've gone to the churches for the last 6 years.
Well, I was just thinking that if you did, for example, go to church or any other kind of group, even like AA or NA meeting, some people do that. That you might be able to find your own advocate to help you get a professional advocate.
Well, that's the whole problem. That's what I've been trying to do, but the thing is that I'm not an alcoholic or a druggie. As far as going to hang out with a bunch of druggies and alcoholics and hoping they're going to help, no, they don't. That's why I'm sent to mandated reporters, sending me to go talk to a bunch of alcoholics. Or, of course, some of the things they do is try to stuff me into a homeless shelter, and you can't do that to somebody who is going through this. That puts me, who is an at-risk adult who is prone to being abused because I can't defend myself, in a situation where I'm literally going to be abused. It is an inevitability.
Yeah, I can understand the high likelihood of that happening in a homeless shelter. So I have one phone number for. Did you find something to write with yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the Developmental Disability Program, and phone number is 503.
Developmental Disability Program?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who they're through?
Clatsop County.
I'm in Tillamook County.
Where's Clatsop? Not near Tillamook?
I don't know, sir, but I know that it's a different county, and if I go to a different county, they'll tell me I'm in the wrong jurisdiction.
Yeah, this says local resources for Clatsop, Columbia, and Tillamook. So it covers all of them. This phone number right here, this is called the Reach Out Oregon.
Reach Out Oregon. The most screwed up part is that people are coming to disabled adults to try to get help turning in abuse against children.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. You can report abuse of any sort to any mandated reporter because they have to report on children, adults, seniors, adults, people with disabilities.
And I've got those mandated reporters here in Tillamook, almost every single one of them, literally going out of their way to change the law and to lie to me about what the law says on that. So thank you for verifying that. I've got a bunch of people who have verified it. The problem is that there's no consequences for these predators in law enforcement or TFCC. They're committing Medicare and Medicaid fraud. when we try to go to these mandated reporters they're sending us to, instead of them doing their jobs to help turn it in right away, what they're doing is setting us up for therapy appointments 3 weeks out, and that allows our predators to get away. That's why these mandated reporters are mandated to do their jobs. It's not optional reporting, it's mandated. All right, so DDP, Reach Out Oregon, 503.
Let me give this other number. I'll give you that one first. Hold on. Where'd it go?
Sir, I've made over 6,000 phone calls. Someone needs to make these phone calls with me. I don't have anyone to do that. More phone numbers is just going to overwhelm me. I've got 6 phone numbers just from the day before yesterday that I still have to call with no advocate. I've been trying to get an advocate since before Natalie was killed. Go ahead.
Tell them that you need an advocate to help you.
I've done that with every single agency. There is literally not a single agency that I have not said that to.
And they're unwilling to help you, or?
Yes, sir, they're unwilling. That's the thing, is that you are quoting to me some things that are pretty important, because as far as the law goes, you're right. But the police are changing the law when it suits them. The district court changes the law when it suits them. I don't even get to the point where I can make a report because I'm too busy being talked over or bullied or lied to about what the law is and redirected to somewhere else who says, hey, I don't know why the sheriff's department sent you to us. It's not our job.
Well, sometimes sheriffs don't know who to refer people to.
They know exactly who to refer to. They're supposed to be involved in the process.
Perhaps. I'm not a sheriff, so or law enforcement. But
well, they keep the stuff that they're telling me about mandated reporting. They keep trying to say, oh, well, that's only for kids, or that's only for the elderly, or you have to do this yourself, or you have to call this place, or you have to call that place. My disabilities and the crimes committed against me, combined together, have created a situation where I can't take care of myself, let alone do any of the things I'm being asked to do. I don't have the money to do it. I don't have the physical ability to do it. And I'm in a constant state of crisis and fear and panic because the abuse, as long as the mandated reporters don't do their job to help turn it in right away and do something to make sure that I'm safe and my evidence is safe, I just get sent from one place to another, each one of them saying that it's not their job. And then, of course, I'm having communication issues because I'm scared.
I understand.
The things that you're telling me.
Something for you.
Go ahead.
And there's 3 options for filing an ADA, and that's the American Disabilities Act complaint. You can call these people, and they take their job.
Sir, I'm not capable of doing that. I've just explained that I need help. I can't.
Well, you just called me.
Yes, sir. The only way for this to work is for me to show the mandated reporters in person the evidence. I've been trying that for 6 years. Anything other than that is taking advantage of my disabilities. I am scared of every single thing that I've tried and been told to try, being victimized again for going to those places. I got that's not going to work. That's too small of a piece of paper. I'm having to write with a Sharpie. I got to try to dig through this trash heap to find anything that I need, and it is overwhelming. Instead of helping me when I had housing, I just needed someone to help me to turn in the criminals. And then I was victimized into homelessness by those criminals. Come on, there's got to be all right. This will work. I found something that'll work. I do have a lot of paper and a lot of notepads and stuff, but they're buried in this pile.
Okay, this is what I would do. I think that you're able to call people and explain what's going on pretty well. I understand.
Well, hold one moment. There's a vehicle going by, so I can't hear you.
Okay.
That's one of the things with having sensory processing issues and being stuck in public. I can't function. As far as explaining things well, I'm not able to explain things well, and that's one of the communication issues that I'm
You're doing a
having.
fantastic job. I'm following you.
Yes, sir.
So if you call these people, right, it's Reach Out Oregon, and tell them that you have a disability, that you need an advocate to help you file a complaint with the ADA. That's through the U.S. Department of Justice, but if you tell them you need to file an ADA complaint, you need an advocate to help you do this, as well as
I did call the
service.
Do what?
That you need an advocate to help you file a complaint, an ADA complaint. They'll know what that is, and as well as an advocate to assist you with services.
Yes,
You
sir.
don't have to tell them all the information that you told me. I appreciate you telling me all this. But if you tell them what you need, that you have a disability, that you need to file an ADA complaint, American Disabilities Act, you need to file an ADA complaint, and you need an advocate to help you do that, as well as help you with services.
Yes, sir.
Do it on your own.
I've already done that. I've got literally hundreds of calls where I said exactly that to a lot of different places. I explained to them that I'm disabled and that I need an advocate. There's hundreds of those. This place I'm willing to call. I'm ready for their number.
What's your phone number?
I don't actually know my phone number. I just got it a few days ago. I do.
An email address?
Yeah, doggedroman at Sorry, there's a car going by.
Yeah, spell it for me too.
DOGGEDROMAN at gmail.com.
And what's your name?
Shawn, SHAWN, SCHWARTZ.
And you are in Tillamook, right?
Sorry, there was a car going by.
You're in Tillamook, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. I am going to send an email to this Reach Out Oregon, with a little bit of information, and provide your email address and name.
All right.
Is that all right?
Yes, sir. But I've got it written down so I can write their number down too. That way,
okay,
they get it from you and from me.
Yeah. Their phone number is 1-833-762. Oh no, sorry, 1-833-732-2467. That's Reach Out Oregon. And I would ask for an advocate to help file an ADA complaint and access services.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to send an email for you as well.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. One of the things is that I'm stuck in an unsafe situation. I don't have a way to escape from my predators. I'm literally stuck here in a parking lot. If I can make it till Monday, go ahead.
And you don't feel comfortable calling law enforcement?
No, sir, I don't. I've attempted calling law enforcement already, and it's resulted in them threatening, harassing, and intimidating me instead of coordinating with other agencies. Instead of working together with them, they pawn me off on these services, and then these services tell me it's not their job and I need to go to the cops.
And you don't feel comfortable going to the hospital either? That's usually a safe place to hang out.
Well, sir, I tried going. It's a small town, and I'm trying to turn in people who didn't do their jobs. When I went to the hospital last, I was assaulted there. The time before that, they were supposed to get a hold of law enforcement so that I could turn in the people who had committed crimes against me in that town up until that point, which included officers. And one of the officers who had committed crimes against me is the one who showed up. By law, the people at the hospital were supposed to send that officer away. Also, they were supposed to get a hold of Adult Protective Services and have them work together. Instead, they didn't. They sent me to Tillamook Family Counseling Center and multiple other agencies that say that it's not their job to do that, but they all admit that they're mandated reporters.
So what I'm gathering with the issue with all the mandatory reporters and the services that you've been referred to, them not making accommodations for you to access those services,
Exactly.
is a violation of the American Disabilities Act, in my belief.
Yes,
so
sir.
I think that if you contact these people and let them know that you need an advocate to help you file an American Disabilities Act complaint, as well as accessing services.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Yes, sir. Well,
And
do you think... Go
whoever
ahead.
you're talking to on the phone, you don't have to give them all the information that you gave me. You know, you just say that I've tried to access services, I have a disability, and I'm not, people are not making accommodations.
You're right. And it is somebody who is obviously trained in this. When I first try to explain it to them, I start off and they tell me that I'm being too vague because I'm trying to stuff 6 years worth of explanation into the 5 minutes that they might give me their attention.
Yeah. So your initial call, you don't need to do that. Once you get an advocate, you can start telling them things, and they may ask you, to slow down. You're going to have more than 5 minutes with them. Usually an advocate will, work with someone for a set amount of time. It's usually weeks or months, and then they can always, get extensions, if a client, needs more time. But I think your first step is actually what you had said, is someone to help you do these things. Understand that, if someone has a disability, for some people, the simplest things are some of the most challenging things.
And that's one of the things that gets me victimized. People just assume that I should magically be able to do these things with no money and with physical disabilities and living in a trash heap. I can't take care of myself, and they know it. And do what?
I can tell you have a lot of anxiety, so that doesn't help.
Yes, sir. Well, that kind of happens when you see as many bodies as I have.
Sure.
Also, I've seen a lot of at-risk adults out here being abused, and law enforcement across the entire country ignores at-risk adults on the streets in specific. We're the #1 victims of almost everything from rape to being murdered by the police.
Yeah. Or just people in your community. I know. So you have the phone number. I'm going to get this email out, and like I said, keep it brief. Tell them that you need an advocate to help file doing
Well, when I first started off, I did keep it brief, but that was 6 years ago, and I am in a constant state of panic. So when I'm scared, I ramble like a madman. It didn't start off like this. It took a lot of abuse. I've got severe PTSD, and that is used against me instead of people trying to understand it from these agencies. They're exploiting the hell out of it.
or not understanding.
That too, but it's easier to understand if you're not busy talking over somebody and telling them what to think and what to feel. That's the thing with these mandated reporters. Instead of doing their jobs as mandated reporters, they keep overstepping their bounds. Also, when I go to the police about it, instead of them listening to understand like you were doing, what they do is literally just talk over me and berate me and tone bully me and lie to me about what the law actually says and the things that you told me that you're absolutely correct about the laws. I have looked them up. I've been doing this for years. The officers literally keep making up the laws and changing the laws based on them not wanting to do anything.
Or they just don't know.
No, they're aware. They've shown that they know, and that's one of the things about my recordings is that it does show that they are aware. They do know what the laws are regarding mandated reporters, and they're just playing stupid. Playing stupid, not plain stupid.
That could be.
That's one of the ways that they get away with this is it's called plausible deniability. They just pretend that they don't know anything, and if they don't know anything, it's not their fault. And ignorance of the law is no excuse for the rest of us, but apparently if you're a law enforcement officer, pretending that you're ignorant of the law makes it okay to commit felonies against at-risk adults. I have explained to the law enforcement here what the laws and rules and regulations are with that. And Adult Protective Services, I've gotten a hold of them. They're supposed to coordinate with law enforcement in situations like this, and they haven't. Instead, it's one place sends me to law enforcement sends me to mental health sends not their job. I got to go to law enforcement, and I explained to all of them the law requires you people to work together with me, the victim. It requires you to work together with my disabilities instead of exploiting them. It was exploitation of my disabilities that resulted in me having all of my resources taken away. So I'm gonna. Is that Rue place open 24/7?
I do not know. But I'm gonna put you in this email too. And double check your email address.
Yes, sir.
D as in David, O, double G as in George, E, D as in David, Roman, R-O, M as Michael, A-N, at gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna get this. What's up?
The thing that I would really like you to put a note of in there is that I need to turn in a lot of abuse against children and at-risk adults. There's a lot of predators. There's also a lot of the victims' voices, their own words, their fears. There's a lot.
Okay.
So it's not just
right,
abuse against me. Thank you, sir.
I know. But here's what is my opinion is you have to get your foot in the door and working with someone.
Yes, sir. You're right, and it's easier to do that if you can establish trust. And when they tell you that the laws are something other than they are, and they're adamant about it as if they know beyond any shadow of a doubt that they're telling the truth, but they're not, it does make it complicated. You're right about that. I need to get my foot in the door, but that's difficult to do without a friend or family member. That's what makes us easy to railroad like this. A friend or family member is supposed to coordinate with us. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I've seen it. I know what you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
And that's one of the main reasons for the American Disabilities Act is to help people and make sure that people are doing their job. So I need to get this done. I have my supervisor wondering where I'm at. But I'm going to get this. I'm going to send you the email as well. And I hope this works out for you.
Yes, sir. I hope so too. Thank you, sir.
All right. I hope you have the best night that you can.
Yes, sir. I'm trying. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Oh, it's 4:19 in the morning, apparently. Being deprived of positive social... God, I can't even use the right words now. I'm pretty well out of it. Every day that passes without the victim being able to safely turn in their predators increases the chances of those predators getting away. People wanted me to be guilty of killing Natalie. They wanted me to be guilty of stalking Natalie. They wanted me to be guilty of raping Natalie. They wanted me to be guilty of molesting Natalie when she was underage. They wanted me to be guilty of a lot of things. And even with all the evidence that shows that they're all fucking idiots, these idiots are so self-assured in their right to abuse disabled people, and that nobody will care, that they do it blatantly and openly. I record everything out of fear. See, the best way to prevent the sins of the past from being revisited upon you is to set it up so that it can't happen. You coordinate beforehand in case something bad happens to you and someone decides to try to take advantage of you. You coordinate with at least a loved one to have an emergency contingency plan. The Bollingers and their friends and family gaslighted me as a group. But then I got to try to turn each of them in individually without bringing up any of the other ones from any of the other jurisdictions. They coordinated and worked together across multiple jurisdictions nationwide. And that's why the Nebraska Attorney General's office sent me to the FBI. It's a lot easier to help the victim out right away than it is to try to clean up afterwards. I'm not just in an at-risk situation, I'm in a desperate situation. The only way to stop the cops from victimizing disabled and at-risk adults on the streets is to kill them. And what happens if you kill a cop? It makes it bad for all of us, so don't fucking do it. My phone's about to die. I gotta keep on using up gas to try to keep my phone charged so I can make these phone calls. Living in extreme poverty This fucking sucks. It's one thing to live in a third world country. It's another thing to live in a first world country where living third world is against the law and then be forced into third world conditions. I got a question for you. If you're starving to death with a phone, is that any different than starving to death without one? The lawyers all told me without a friend or family member, I'm screwed. All of the lawyers that I spoke with. Mandated reporter has given me numbers to lawyers that I don't have the money for. God, that's a pain, you know? In order to do this for my vehicle, I have to buy a lot of electronic shit that I don't have the money for. I gotta pay for a vehicle that it's unsafe for me to drive. Call after call after call. Found one different service. It's a subsidiary of another service that I've already contacted. But he says it's a different number. It's they coordinate. They're supposed to coordinate. The RU is how I have it written down, but they're a subsidiary of another government agency or another advocacy agency. The problem is that I'm being sent to advocacy agency after advocacy agency. Instead of understanding my disabilities, they're exploiting them. And I say that a lot. I know I'm a broken record. It's because I'm in a state of panic all the time. I know that without an advocate, which I've been trying to get since before Natalie died, I'm fucked. But it has to be a real advocate. Someone who's actually going to help, not somebody who's going to tell me to do it myself and send me somewhere else. Do you not see how this pushes men to commit suicide? I gotta plug in my batteries. Oh, come on now. One of these has gotta work. Is it that one that's not attached? That one right there. That'll work. So these officers keep trying to change the meaning of words, and then the next officer I talk to will change the meaning of the words again. Like, fuck. All they're doing is trying to confuse the situation because they don't want to do their jobs. Especially when their job becomes to turn in their friends and family members. by telling me to call these places by myself. These places are all showing that they don't understand my disabilities. I don't hate them. I hate my life. I hate what they do. The laws are optional to them.